Tell us,
Right.
who is our guest speaker this week?
Well, when it comes to inspirational stories, today's guest speaker may be one of the most inspiring we've had, and he lives close to Signal in Whitehill. He's been awarded the Military Cross by Her Majesty the Queen, which is one of Britain's highest awards for gallantry in combat, following his courageous leadership under enemy fire in Iraq. He's now an international speaker and a Sunday Times best-selling author, as well as making documentary films and running a very successful merchandise brand. I'll tell you, he's a really busy guy. It's clear that his military experience equipped him to be resilient and seize opportunities. And he's taken the time out of his busy filming schedule to be here today to share some of the lessons he learned on the battlefield and show how they can be applied to business. Please give a very warm BizHub welcome to Brian Wood, MC. Hey, welcome, Brian.
Hello, Brian. Good morning.
Morning. Lovely to see you.
That's a great introduction, by the way, and I don't think I'll warrant that, but I really appreciate
it. Yes, you do. Again, we've just been talking about that. You've got to pat ourselves on the back, Brian. You definitely do deserve that.
Absolutely.
No, very humbling, and I don't want to come across as being very needy regarding having to kind of rush off and jump off, but I'm probably now at the most busiest time of my life that I've ever been, and I've been a busy boy like many throughout my years, but 2020 has been very adverse. We've had to kind of just keep pushing forward. We've had to attack and find new ways and be flexible, and there has been a bit of light for me with my life story is coming onto film. It's going to be a BBC dramatisation on BBC Two in spring, and we're in production now. So it's incredible times, and so very surreal. And
well, we're really excited to hear your story, Brian. What Stu and I are going to jump off now and give you the floor and let you address the people and tell them your story. We're really, really looking forward to it. So we are on standby if you need us, so we can always jump back in, but I'm sure you'll be fine.
It's all good, no worries. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Thanks, and it's Friday, and it's a lovely day outside. I've actually been out running this morning with my son, so to start the day off right. And for those who don't know me, I am a local lad. My mum and dad, my dad served in the military also, and I grew up in Borden, and I met Lucy, my lovely wife, years and years ago, and I kind of settled in Borden and now live in Whitehill. So I'm local, and it's great to come on and share some of my experiences and also what I'm doing at the moment with my clothing and apparel range, and how I started a business which has just gained so much momentum to the point that we've gone international, which has been incredible, but a lot of hard work, a lot of lessons learned, especially from someone who has never been in the business arena. I was a frontline soldier for 17 years, but we'll talk about that kind of the end of the session, because I want to give you guys an idea of my background and where I've come from, how I've overcome certain situations in my life, and some of the toolkits that I used to manage my mental well-being, which in certain times of my life, and I was going through some really demanding points that I really didn't know how to reach out or speak about my emotions, because I was a frontline soldier, and as men we're not very good at doing that. But there was a time that I did, and that's what I'll also talk about that when I get into it and get going. So for those who don't know me, I'm Brian Wood, Woody, and as said before, I was fortunate enough to be awarded the Military Cross by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. Taking my wife and my mum and dad to Buckingham Palace was, other than my children being born, the finest day of my life, and incredible experience to even have a conversation with the Queen. It's very unique, and it's one of the proudest moments of my life for sure. Throughout my journey within the military, I spent 17 years, and operationally, we're a part of a huge commitment, whether it be in Iraq and Afghanistan, and actually, so 2 tours in Kosovo, which is peacekeeping. I then conducted 2 tours of Iraq and a tour of Afghanistan. And I served within the Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment, so it's a Hampshire regiment. And like I said, throughout that 17 years, we were operational a lot. And a lot of it was war fighting. I was a young commander during my first tour of Iraq in 2004. And I'll go into a little bit of detail because it's an infamous, it was an infamous tour, and I was involved in a very famous battle for a number of reasons. And also within that tour, I kind of fought 3 battles. The Battle of Danny Boy, which was very famous, and it was a battle that lasted about 4.5 hours. And I was a young commander at 23 during that, from when we got ambushed. The battle to reintegrate back into family life. I left my son when he was 4.5 weeks old to go away for 6 months. Then to come home after such a long period of time, you have to work at it. It just doesn't fall back into place. And I'd seen and done a lot. I was kind of damaged as well, mentally scarred from some of the stuff that I was involved in. And with no decompression or trauma risk management before I came home, it kind of erupted, behind closed doors. And the third, and probably the most challenging battle to overcome, was allegations that were made against me and my fellow soldiers. And that was murder, mutilation and mistreatment. And it was a public inquiry that ran for a decade, 10 years. And it was £31 million of public money spent on that. And unfortunately, it was a witch hunt that involved greedy lawyers. However, the end state was, we were completely exonerated. It was deliberate lies, reckless speculation and ingrained hostility. It was to do with money, if I'm honest, and it's unfortunate that people get greedy. They seen holes in our justice system, and they exploited them, and the government, paid these lawyers, who were crooks basically, large chunks of money. But the effects that it was causing was borderline catastrophic, especially mentally, because when you're up against the most brutal of allegations, and you know that everything that they're saying is false, it's heartbreaking, because it drags your values and your integrity into the courtroom. And it broke me, if I'm honest. But I'll kind of give you an insight on Danny Boy, not too much, because of time. And if you want to read about it, then you can grab my book if you want. But that's not me being a sales plug. It's just, if you fancy it, then it's online, or you can go on my website and purchase a signed copy if you wanted to, and then you can read about it there. But it's important for me to give you an overview and an outline of kind of my military days, and then into some of the pressure situations of coming home, and then obviously the allegations. So I was involved in, like I said, a very famous battle, and it's the Battle of Danny Boy. And basically, it was the 14th of May 2004, and it was at 14:30 hours, at 2:30 in the afternoon. It was red hot, boiling out there at that stage of the month. And we were in the middle of an ambush. And I'd been in country for a while at this point, and fighting was an everyday thing. And so I was accustomed to different types of pressure, but this was different. This was a full-on ambush. The militia were in trenches, so trench warfare, and I was in the back of an armoured vehicle, actually on the way down to help some other British soldiers who were injured in another ambush. But on the way down there, we were ambushed ourselves. And I was 23 years old, young commander, had other lads in the back that I was looking after that had a lot of trust in me and my decision making. And we were in the back. The only way to really counter this trench, which was, 15 militia fighters, heavily outnumbered we were, but with a bit of true grit, determination and courage, you can achieve a lot. And we were told that we had to leave this vehicle and go and counter this this ambush that I was involved in. And I remember experiencing all sorts of emotion, fear being the biggest one. I mean, with fear, it can rip through your veins if you can't channel it. And it's very important in them situations that you are calm. You do channel that fear. You do direct it in the right way instead of it becoming, it's infectious, isn't it? So as a commander, if you're level-headed, it will calm other people down in the room. If you're shouting and screaming and running, then that's going to then become infectious to the people who are looking up to you to react how you're reacting. So even in the most extreme of situations, it's very important that you take a breather. We call it a cigar moment. So you pause 2, 3, have a breather, and then you're back in the room and engage with the people who you're working with. And even though there was only 3 of us initially, there was still a lot of decision making, making sure they're inclusive, and if they've got anything that they want to bring forward and talk about also. And that was it. We decided what we were going to do, and we went for it. And I'm skimming across so much because of time, but it was, looking back, everyone thought it was unachievable, what we actually achieved. And even when I look back at it, I think how none of us become casualties was beyond me. And what we achieved that day was above and beyond anyone's real expectations. I think I thought we bit off more than we could chew, but I was going to go regardless, and I was going to lead out that vehicle first, because by example is a big thing for me. You should never really expect people to do something that you're not happy to do yourself, and it's a good trait of leadership. So I was going to leave that vehicle, and like I said, it was an overly intense, fierce battle. We got a foothold on the ground. There was 5 of us moving forward because 2 other lads joined us as we left the vehicle from a different vehicle. So there was 5 British soldiers against 15 militia in this trench. And, we achieved our main effort, and we killed and captured a lot of the fighters. And by the end of that day, there was 20 militia fighters killed, and 9 were taken as POWs, prisoner of war. And as we got back to camp, there was just more dramas, because we had to take the bodies back. So it's difficult when I've taken another human's life. It's a lot of pressure, and it lies heavily on your shoulders. And people would say otherwise. It's just mask. They're masking it, because people have got emotions. Even though I was a frontline soldier, I'm not a RoboCop. I'm not a universal soldier. I've got emotions like anyone else. I chose to go and serve my country because I love my nation, and I thought I wanted to, keep people safe on my island, and it's the least I can do. And it's through my military history and family that we've continued this legacy for hundreds of years. And but war is brutal, and it has an effect. And I've just conducted at that point something that hasn't happened probably since the World Wars. Trench warfare is close and personal. It's you can hear their last gasps and the confusion and the trauma. I mean, these bodies which were now killed in action, you can only imagine the state that they were in. And me, have never done this before, seeing this, trying to switch it all off, and just kind of carry out what we were doing in the moment. It was difficult, but you had to do it. Because you have to act in the moment. And then having to then lift them bodies up after the whole battle was finished and load them onto vehicles. And then, like I said, got back to camp. Then the back door wouldn't open, so we had to then play scissor, rock, paper, to find out who's going to crawl through the back over the bodies to then manually open that back door, which was just carnage in itself. And then having to hose them vehicles down and then burn our combats after it was all done. It was just horrendous day. But that tour was very traumatic anyway. You know, the Battle of Danny Boy, which I've just really skimmed over, was tough. And it really was some of the most extreme decisions in circumstances that if you get it wrong, you're dead. And a lot of decisions were made on gut, values, and true grit. And and we managed to do something which was just incredible looking back, and how we all survived. And like I said, that tour was very traumatic. You know, a very inspirational leader of men that I looked up to was hit off a church roof in the city of Al-Amara in Iraq by a 6-year-old kid, which then engulfed him as a human fireball. And you know, I was kind of third person on the scene to try and put him out in flames, and then seeing the amount of skin that he lost, it was just brutal, if I'm honest. And then my second tour of Iraq, during that tour, I was also Johnson Bahari. 2 weeks prior to the Battle of Danny Boy saved my life because I was blown up by 284 missiles which hit my vehicle. And Johnson Bahari saved our lives and actually won the Victoria Cross, which is the highest award for valor. And then about a month and a half after that incident, I then saved his life, because he was hit hard and actually was in a coma for 21 days from them injuries. And seeing the state of Johnson at that point was, you know, he was seriously injured and in a bad way. And I had to, you know, give him sort of initial life-saving treatment to then sustain him to getting on the aircraft to fly out of Al-Amara. And then my second tour of Iraq, having unfortunately one of the soldiers in my company put a weapon system in his mouth and pressed the trigger and took his own life. And you know, I was the second person on that scene, and it was just, you know, it's when you don't manage and speak about things, it's like a volcano. It's bubbling away, and then you can only get to, you know, a certain point before it erupts. And I'd experienced a lot. And this tour in 2004 was so testing for such a long period of time. And when I got home, I found it really hard to reintegrate into family life. You know, Lucy had done a remarkable job by being resilient, robust, into routine. She was a new mum to a newborn. I'd missed out so much. I had a lot of resentment for her bond with Bailey. I was very aggressive in the way I spoke to her. You know, borderline. Yeah, well, if there's one, a massive regret of mine, it was the way I treated Lucy. But I just wasn't mentally in a good place, and there's no excuse. You know, never physical, but borderline abusive with the way I spoke to her. And there was a lot of cracks within Brian Wood at this point. You know, I went day to day trying to figure it out. Tried to I was putting pressure on myself to be this dad, and that I'd missed out so much, and that was then going wrong because I was trying to do too much, and you know, my son never knew me, and it was just really difficult. And you know, trying to kind of take it all on board and on my shoulders was tough. And the people who paid the price for it was the people who love you the most, and it's not fair. But back in 2004, there was no chance I was going to speak about how I was feeling. It was irrelevant. It was just like, just got to get on with it, because, you know, the stigma and the taboo around mental health then was not even spoken about. You just had to kind of man up and get on with it. But it's just not the done thing. You shouldn't be just doing that, because, you know, you got to look after your mental health like you do your physical health. And it was just challenging, because I was struggling what was going on mentally, asking, you know, a lot of questions to myself. I was having a few flashbacks on what I'd done and seen, and it's just difficult. And I carried on, you know, self-aiding, and there's not even anything. There's not even a recognised, don't know, qualification called self-aid. It's just the wrong thing to do, but I tried to, and then my relationship broke down for a period of time, and I then had to go and sort myself out. And it was tough period in my life. You know, at stages I was lower than a slug's belly, and you know, when you can't really see anything in front of you because the lines are blurred, then you know you have to create dialogue. You have to understand your purpose and give yourself a purpose if you haven't got one, and you have to keep attacking forward. And that's the situation that I was in. And you know, lucky enough, my dad has been a huge inspiration to me, and you know, he's a real powerhouse to get me back on the beaten track and continue moving forward. And 2009, these allegations came out, which then really hurt me, if I'm honest. It questioned, it kind of brought, because it went into the public domain because the battle was overly famous and we were decorated soldiers from that. There was a lot of questions being asked on, as in, did you do what they're saying you did? Panorama ran a BBC, and it was called On Whose Orders? And that really just made us out to be just like cold-blooded killers, which was really unfair. And Phil Shiner, the public interest lawyer, ran it all. And he had a good reputation back in the day for being a very good human rights lawyer. And yeah, the allegations, what he said that we'd done, were just, it was just such a lie. It was embarrassing, really. But like I said, it got so much traction. And then that was it. We were doing statements after interviews after statements after interviews. And I was just like, what is even going on here? How has this got traction? But it did. And for 5 years, for a further 5 years, it happened. And in 2014, I went into the dock, was cross-examined. And I think that was the hardest time of my life, really, regarding other people kind of having their perception on me. Sir Thane Thorbes was the judge. And he was actually the judge during the Harold Shipman trial. So I was like, oh, fucking hell, he's got a reputation, he has, you know. And I wondered what they thought of me as well. You know, who did they think I was, this person, what these Iraqi, you know, said that I was, and you know, what are they thinking about me? And it goes like, so much runs through your head when you're in there, because you're on your own. You know, there's a lot of pressure, and you're getting cross-examined by people who haven't got any credibility to what I've done. You know, being in foreign fields and fighting against a militia who have been in that environment for years and years and years, who are aggressive, who are violent, who don't play by the rules, to then be questioning me about decision making and about me as a person, and undermining me on everything that I'd done. Put my citation on the, you know, on the screens, on me being awarded the Military Cross and what I did, and my bravery and actions to, you know, achieve what we achieved, to then just get pulled apart by these very clever individuals, but just haven't got any real credibility to me. And it's just frustrating. Very good in their own, you know, in their own line of work, they're class, but they haven't been where I've been. And it was really frustrating for me, because no one was there to bring what it's like on operations into context. And it was frustrating, but 3.5 hours I was in there for, and it was tough, if I'm honest. And that was when I then decided I need to go and speak to a counsellor, and yeah, took my first steps of courage and bravery to go and knock on the door and say, look, I just need some help, because my head is all over the place. I don't feel great. I feel down. I feel empty. I feel drained. Is there any point? And it's the best thing I ever did. Best thing I ever did. You know, it was just one, offloading a lot of the stuff that I'd done in the past, a lot of stuff that I'd seen, and talking about it, which made me feel great for doing so, because a problem shared is half, and it really felt that. And that was it. It was kind of then the growth started to happen. It was like, it wasn't post-traumatic stress disorder, it was post-traumatic growth, right? Okay, now I've shared this, it's a huge weight off my shoulders. How can I now start to get better? What toolkit can I build to start helping me, supporting me to look after my well-being and my dreams? Because I still wanted to dream, even though I was in a really demanding place mentally. I still always had dreams and ambitions, and that's what kept me going as well. And yeah, it was some great sessions of counselling, which really supported me, and started to move forward each day. Take every day as a new day. So concentrate on Monday, once that was done, then Tuesday, once that was done. So it was each day as it came, and it was very important to do that, managing expectations, and then just started to move forward. And then in 2015 they found a load of evidence that Phil Shiner and Lee Day had basically stashed away and shredded as well. And anyway, it was just corruption, really. So they found this evidence that it linked all of the militia who were killed in action and the POWs to their militia groups. So these were terrorists. These were people who wanted to bring harm on soldiers, because what they were saying is, they said, Phil Shiner said that these were just farmers out sowing and ploughing, and we turned up and just grabbed them off the farmers' fields, put them in the back of the vehicle, took them back to our camp, lined them up against the wall, and then killed them all in cold blood. It just doesn't happen. It's just ridiculous how it even got traction. So when they found this key evidence, all of a sudden, all the charges were dropped on its head there and then actually Phil Shiner then went into the dock. And he was found guilty of 12 accounts. And and he was then declared himself bankrupt. Would have put his money in different areas. I mean, he's not a stupid man, but he can't practice what he loved for many years. And he was an award-winning solicitor and QC, and now he can't do any of that anymore because he lost all credibility and was guilty of damaging people's lives. I spent 17 years as a soldier, and I probably would have cracked on and done my 22 years. But after the verdict came out, enough was enough. I just lost a lot of trust in the government system, if I'm honest. The MOD let me down with lack of support. So I was done, and I didn't really, I didn't out the MOD or the government. I just highlighted lessons learned and in my book, and hopefully, there was going to be an impact on what I'd gone through, and the lack of support that we received would never happen again. Because when I needed people around me the most, or to represent me, no one was there. No one showed up. So yeah, that was in 2015 where the verdict had come out, and and it was a relief, but there was so much damage caused during it, and upset, heartbreak, tears. However, I spoke about growth. It was time to put that, as an experience and behind me, and then I needed to punch forward and keep attacking forward, which I did, and then left the British Army. Went and worked in London for 3.5 years in property for a company called the Office Group, which was brilliant because it gave me good corporate experience and understanding, the property side of life. And I still had a burning desire, though, to do something with clothing and apparel, because I've really been interested in clothing, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do something. And it was only 7 months ago, but I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I'm going to talk about now what I'm doing at the moment because of time, and we can hopefully have some questions and I'll answer some of the stuff through my backstory if anyone's interested. But I think it's important because we're all small businesses. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to keep positive, have a vision, have a structure, have a plan, and trying to execute all of that is tough at times, but it's definitely achievable. So I'm going to talk, and I'm no guru because I've only been in business, a business owner for 7 months. So I've got not that much experience, but I've got some good, tough experience that I've then applied into what I do now. So 7 months ago, I launched my business called Keep Attacking. But before that, I'd done a lot of homework on the market, competitors, what it is that I needed to bring on to have a bit of an effect. And for me, it was finding the mantra that not only represents me, but everyone else is so important. It's for everyone else. That Keep Attacking mantra is for everyone else and me and my family. So I knew I had that, and I've been working with that mantra for a long time. You know, I think about 7 years ago, I took a team to Scotland, and our team was called Keep Attacking to basically do a few events. And so I've always used it. I've always had that slogan and that mantra that when you're in tough situations, you have to move forward, and it's figuring out the best ways to do that. Because if you stand still or take a step back, that's when you start slinking away, because I've done it myself. So it's really important to pick yourself up and attack forward. So I knew I had this mantra and it's quite powerful. So then I went and worked on a logo which would complement that. But I wanted the logo to represent the family. So I'm actually wearing it now. And that's the W in Wood, my surname. So it's just clean, not too much going on, with a powerful mantra. And COVID had just come in. It was flirting around. It was growing by the day. And a few people said, don't launch it yet because you don't know what's going to happen with COVID. And, you know, I'm a risk versus reward has been a part of my life. And I thought, nah, I believe in what I've got. I've got no money, didn't have any money to launch it. So what I did was, my own money, went and got some garments. I trained in these garments for days and hours and into the gym, because accountability I'm a big believer in. So I need to make sure that the clothing is robust, it's current, and it's good enough to last. Because if people are going to be spending their money, then it needs to have them requirements. So I personally train. I'm always out running and training anyway. So I worked hard in that, made sure that they were washable, they didn't shrink, and they like I said, they look good as well. And took me a while to do that, a few weeks to do it, and into months actually. And then I had a pile of garments that I were happy with. So what I did was, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to generate a bit of fuss. I'm going to use social media because it's free. It's a weapon system in its own right. I was a little bit scared about doing videos and stuff because it wasn't really me, but I knew I had to break that duck, because social media can bring so much revenue. It can be easily shared, and you should use it to your best of your ability. And I knew that, and I've got a desire and hunger and passion to make this work. So I was going to use every means possible. So I did that. And what I'd done was I put up a pre-order for 14 days. So I made a little fuss, done some content, videos, put it out. And honestly, that 14 days, it went wild, and generated enough money to then expand my range, and which was really, really important. And just use that money within the business to keep growing, just keep investing, keep growing. And I did that. And throughout, it was so busy that my website actually went down a couple of times as well, which was humbling for one, but then frustrating for another, because I was obviously missing out on sales. But we got that sorted. And then some of the lessons that I was getting, or some of the mistakes that I was making and needed to learn from, because I've never done this before, is the packaging I was sending out initially was wrong. The courier that I used originally was wrong, and it was causing me problems, and I was frustrated. And but I managed to be flexible, sort that out as we were moving forward. The business was growing each day. Orders were flying in, and it was putting me under a lot of pressure, because I never once thought it was going to go like this. I thought it would maybe be a bit of a sidearm to my speaking, because I was traveling around all over the place, sharing my experiences with businesses, and all of a sudden this has just gone berserk. And I've had to really sit down, map it out. What is it I needed to achieve? How am I going to scale up with integrity, and taking my time on this and not rushing things, because I am passionate about it, but it's kind of gone out of control, and I need to rein it back in. So then I said to Lucy, my wife, you need to come away from your day job and come and work for Keep Attacking full time, because I can't keep up with it. I just need support on the admin side of it. I just need support, because this has just gone crazy busy, and I can't do it all on my own, because I was stressing, and it takes a lot to get me stressed, because obviously I've been quite stressed in the past before. And so little things like this, I care, and I'm passionate, and I take things to heart, but I've also been on the extreme side of things. So actually, if I miss a few things, then I will get it right in as I move forward. So it's really important. And also it was important for me to kind of map out my three pillars. Each Sunday I'll do this, and I think it's really important, because we can get kind of in the moment, life just runs away with us, and we don't really plan a lot. Or if people plan, then I don't know, maybe have a look at this, because it can definitely help your personal side of it as well. And a lot of people would have actually sort of reconfigured maybe their life moving forward. Now we've been into lockdown, because we've spent more time with our family, we've done more with our family, we've homeschooled, which has been very new to me, especially hard to entertain, to educate. I'm not a teacher, some of the questions that I'm being asked I can't even answer, and I'm like, wow, I need to try and do this. So what I do on a Sunday, it's a 3-pillar method: is financial, emotional, and health. So the financial is, obviously we want a financial goal, and I know this through some of the military stuff that I've done also, but just from a kind of a structure point of view, I've lived in an environment where it's structure every day. You know what to do, what time you got to be there, and what you're going to be achieving. So when you do that for 17 years, I have to have that structure within my life and routine, because it motivates me also. So the financial first one is a pillar, and I have a financial target of what I would like to achieve that week, and how am I going to achieve it, what resources I'm going to use to achieve it, and then we'll have a sort of a look at the week in a view on how we achieve and what we've done, and if we then go again the second week, what can we tweak, and how can we tweak it, and why should we tweak that? It's very important. So financial goal is important, because also it helps the family. Money doesn't make you happy, but it certainly helps and takes a lot of pressure off. So having a financial goal is what we do in business anyway. We want to be successful, and with that we want to look after our loved ones. The emotional piece is overly important, and this is what I kind of got hold of in lockdown. So for me, family time throughout the week. So my son goes to football on a Tuesday, and my oldest son goes on a Thursday, and then they play on the Saturday. So the emotional time within the week, you find some time to spend with the family, and that's whether you're going to take your wife out for dinner, or your husband out for dinner, or you have a family dinner around the table, because we work so hard. Sometimes we just don't get that in sync, but it's so important, because life just passes by, and you don't want to be regretting not spending that emotional time with people who, you know, care about you. And it could be even friends. You know, if you're not in relationships, you've got friends out there that you should spend some time with, and not just be so overwhelmed with business. Yes, it's important, but so is the emotional piece also. And health. You know, I said to you, I said about going out running every day. I do. It looks after my mental side of it, and it stimulates me in the morning. It gets the endorphins moving, and I just feel like I can just attack the day when I get in, go for a shower, and then bosh, I'm on it, and I just feel really good for doing it. And like I said, it looks after my health, which is important. And I just feel good about myself. And whether it's somewhere to start, if it's a walk, it's a walk. You're moving. It's a thing of beauty, and that's really important. And you just got to continue to attack. Look, life is difficult. I always say, there's a quote of mine saying, life is beautiful, but it's an incredible demand, and it is. And it is in business, you know. But for me, it's the emotional adversity. It's adapting in pressured situations and stressful situations, instead of just saying, I can't do it. There's no way I'm going to get this deal over the table. Actually have a cigar moment, pause 2, 3, sit down, take a bit of a chill, and then go to your, the why in the first place. And then how can we now figure a few things out? Because I've gone into a market where it's flooded. Clothing is flooded, and what's different about Keep Attacking? The message, I believe. The message is massively different to anyone else what's doing their thing. For me, my clothing's a byproduct. People will buy the clothing because they believe that it will empower them. It will inspire them to start walking, to start shuffling, to then run, to then go into business with a clear head. Actually, you know what, that hasn't worked out. I'll do an after action review on that, and then I'll go again and tender for the next one, because I've made a few mistakes, but it's fine because we learn from them, and then we go again. We attack and we keep attacking until we achieve. And then we've got people who are mentally having a bit of a struggle, but they're willing to wake up each morning, each day, and show up and attack forward. And then we've got the kids. The kids should be entitled to dream. They should be entitled to have a vision, and absolutely. But to get to your dreams and to achieve your visions, you have to keep attacking, because it doesn't come for free. Nothing in life is for free. You have to work hard to achieve it. And that's the ethos behind it. It's allowing everyone to get amongst it. Recovery. People are going through, unfortunately, some hard battles in cancer. A very good friend of mine, Jay Baldwin, lost both legs in Afghanistan in 2012. And then about a year and a half ago, we found out that he had cancer, and then had to go through all of his treatment, radiation, and whatever else it was he had. And it was a tough journey. To lose your legs is tough mentally, and to be resilient through adversity is credit to him, because he was. And then to find out that he's got cancer, then he had to then go and fight again. To last week, he then was told that he's in remission. That's what it represents. That's what the ethos represents. And he's wearing his hoodie in recovery, like, yeah, I'm attacking. It's a thing of beauty, and that's what I wanted to stand for. There's a performance range for people who are at it every day and who really want to perform, and that's business arena. But there's also a loungewear where we all entitled to chill out now and again, aren't we? Or if someone's flirting with the idea to go and do something about their health, or they just want to kind of be brave enough to go out, then they rep it. They put something on and think, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to do something different than what I did yesterday. And it's the start of a growth journey. But anyway, that's not a sales pitch. That's just me being passionate about the brand and how well it's done so far. And we're shipping international at the moment. I've got a backer that's come in, which it's with the business lawyers at the moment, which is incredible. And I've got a 3-5 year and a 7-year plan on what I want to do with Keep Attacking. So it's a new journey. It's a journey that I'm really, really passionate about. And there's a lot of people in the local area wearing the kit. You know, I went running with my son, and this gives me great pleasure. Not only receiving messages, and I say this not to show off or anything, because it's not who I am. It's not in my makeup. But I get messages every day, and there's so many messages saying, "Woody, your mantra and your clothing range is getting me through my chemo. I've got a project board for my chemo, and it's called Project Keep Attacking." He screenshotted me the board and sent it to me. I was like, that's amazing. You know, Woody, I'm doing this stem cell treatment for my dad. You know, I'm using that mantra, keep attacking, to show up and make sure that I'm there for my dad and give him something back. And I'm like, love that. You know, the BMXers, the children on the BMX track wearing their stickers, keep attacking stickers, and looking down the track. You know, it's like, that's what I wanted to achieve. I've said it before, the clothing's a byproduct. The message is more important. That never give up, no matter what situation you're in or how dark the situation is, or how your aspirations and how big they are. If you have that keep attacking ethos, you will achieve. And it's just exciting times. But I don't know how long I've waffled on for, but that's where I am at the moment. I hope the session's been worth it. And any feedback, any questions, and I'll certainly do my best to. But like I said, I'm no guru in business. I'm just at it. I'm relentless. I've got unstoppable values, and you know, like so many, I'm just trying.
What a fantastic. I'm sorry to have heard all of that lead up, but what a fantastic outcome. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Really.
Really amazing. It's so inspirational, Brian. I've read your book. I've got it here. Read your book. And just to hear you saying the words, though, it's quite emotional. I feel quite emotional listening to you. And I mean, not only your bravery on the front line, but your bravery about talking about your mental health so openly and so publicly is really, really empowering. So thank you for sharing that with us.
It's important. You know, we're now in 2020, and we're the biggest cause of death is still suicide, male suicide, and obviously it is affecting women, but the scale of young men losing their life, you know, mental illness battle, we need to be better at talking things and creating dialogue, because look, you know, 1 in 4 of us have suffered or is suffering. So it's fine to chat, it's fine to offload, it's cool to talk about it, and actually it is getting better for sure. And we just need to keep pushing forward, be brave enough to talk about the impact of, it's just as important as physical health. They go hand in hand, definitely.
Yeah, they do. And it's a lot of the youngsters coming through now are more aware of mental health and are talking about it more. So I think it's really important to reinforce that.
Definitely, for sure. And it took me a long time, but like I said, it was never too late. It was too long, but it wasn't too late, because when I did, the impact it had on me and my family was just so positive. It was the best thing I ever did. It really was. And actually, a lot of people then from who I knew in the military arena went and did the same. Because it was like a dominoes effect.
It's often like that in many things in life, isn't it? When somebody actually does it, then you think, oh, it's okay, I can do it too. So it's called leadership. Of
course, it's by example, and it took me, like I said, it took me a while, but I did it, and it was definitely the best thing because it created a toolkit for me. So, and I should have actually went and spoke about a toolkit. If people don't know what a toolkit is, it's basically it's creating something which supports you mentally, whether it be podcasts, fitness, healthy eating, sleep, which is really important because we don't get enough of it, and we have to rest the mind. And I go to bed at 9:30, you know, and people go, oh my God, I can't believe you got out of bed that early. But I get up early. I'm an early riser, and it works for me. And I said about fitness, it really helps me. For me, when I'm running, I'm free. I'm free from the madness when I get home, because this is a pressured environment for me, because it's where I do my work from. But out there, you know, I'm in the fresh air, I'm sucking the air in, and it's my time. If I'm, you know, working away, I'll put on a podcast, whether it's content that I know is out there or it's recommended to me, and it's whether it's well-being or whether it's business. You know, it keeps me motivated, it keeps me in the game, and it's really important to do. So it's creating things which can really support you, and that's called a toolkit, really.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, Lou, should we open up the floor to some questions?
Yeah, let's see if we can do it. We're going to try a new technology thing. Gareth's in the background.
Come on, Gareth. Flex
Go, Gareth, down to you.
muscles.
We're going to try and get everybody on screen, and let's get some questions going. So let's see how that works.
Ah, look at this.
There we go. People are coming in.
This is all new.
It's all very new. It's all very exciting. So if you put your cameras on, we'll be able to see you, and then we'll just open the floor to some questions.
If you're a bit surprised and you're not camera ready, that's fine too.
There we go.
Emma there. Hello, Emma. Claire, Bippin. Good. Lovely to see you, Bippin. Long time no see.
Nice.
Good to see you. Graham, Lisa, Fiona.
There we go.
One of our guests, Mark Rogers. He is in charge over at Core Security.
Okay.
One of our guests. He was in.
Well, thank you very much for the invite as well.
No problem. He was there at Signal yesterday.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So I was bigging up Brian, and he felt that he should jump on. A lot of the people that they employ at Core Security are ex-military.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. So if we got, is that everybody? Gareth, can you give me a thumbs up just to tell me that everybody's in the room, and then we'll open the floor to some questions.
They are. I can see.
There we go. We're all in.
I think the best way that this will work is if you remain muted and raise your hand, and we'll pick you, and you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Otherwise, it will just be a free-for-all. So who would like to go first? Lisa. Lisa jumped in there, raised her hand. Lisa, ask away.
Can you hear me? Because my
yes.
Okay. So when bit of a personal question, when you wake up in the morning, are you Brian the ex-soldier or are you Brian the businessman?
Now, Brian the businessman. I mean, it's for me, it's hard to even accept that I'm a businessman because of my my past, really. But that's in the past, and now I'm on a whole completely different trail, and I'm blazing it at the moment. So I have to be that Brian the businessman, and take things serious, show up to meetings, be proactive, create content, create key messaging, and that's what's really effective. That's what I believe it's been really effective for the business. That I haven't been scared to create content. I haven't been scared to share bits of my backstory. Everyone has got their own stories. It's dipping in and figuring it out what actually works and what can be then put. We're in a digital era. We're in a digital world, you know, and we have to kind of ride with times, and it's showing up and putting some of the stuff that you believe can make a bit of an impact or a bit of a difference, or get someone else, if you're not happy to do that, to maybe do it for you. But if you're not using that digital market, then honestly, it's so powerful and it's free. So yeah, it's getting up in the morning, and I'm Brian the business.
That must feel so good though now to have that focus when you're not always looking back all the time. I mean, obviously that's always going to be a part of you and part of your memories and your history.
I don't think you can allow your past to define who you are. You accept it. It's always going to be thereabouts. But if I allowed everything to define my actions, I would then become a victim, and it's not what I want to do. I want to grow, and I want to inspire, and I want to have my keep attack and mantra over the world, like in a bigger footprint that we've got already. And that's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of desire, a lot of commitment, a lot of failure. But we learn from failure, don't we? Failure is part of life. You know, it's just allowing yourself to take a moment, be disappointed, but you have to go again, and you have to then keep attacking. And that's what people just get it. They're like, I understand, I've every single person on this call, I'll be shocked if they're not, would have gone through some demand within their life, whether it's losing a loved one, whether it's illness, whether it's business, or whether it could be anything. They would have been tested, but the reason they're here is because they've kept attacking and they've moved forward, and it's been a lot of pain and hurt. However, they've showed up and they've continued to move forward. So yeah, it's business now. I'm learning so much as I go, and there is so much going on at the moment. And I didn't really speak about the book, actually. I should mention it because it's important. So justice is so important to me, and I felt like what we went through was such an injustice and it wasn't fair. So I then put pen to paper. I wrote this book, and then there was an injunction put against it from the lawyers, which delayed it for a while. And then there was a to and fro with lawyers. Anyway, it was then released, and I couldn't believe the momentum it got. It went on to the Sunday Times bestseller at number 3, then crept up to number 2. But Michelle Obama was at number 1, and there was no way I was removing her number 1. So, but she's a powerhouse in her own right and overly inspirational anyway. So Michelle can have that top spot all day long. But it then was optioned for a film, and now I'm spending so much time with working on that. So it just goes to show, if you don't give up and you continue to move forward and continue to believe in yourself, then there is a light. Sometimes you don't feel like there is because you're under a lot of pressure, but if you stay in the game, stay in the fight, then you're 2 decisions away from some good luck, and you make that luck because you've continued to stay in the game, and that's what is really important.
I'd like to ask if there are any other questions. Bipin, you got your hand up there. Give us your question.
Brian, listening to you is very inspiring. It's fantastic. And you've only been doing it for 7 months. What I wanted to know was, how are you getting a team around you that's going to move you forward? And it's happening so quickly.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. So obviously my first employee was my wife, because obviously I know Lucy, we've been through so much together, like so many other couples also. And I trust her a lot. It's very new to the business is very new, but I've got a business plan, and I know as we grow, it's very important to employ the right people, and nothing's on a knee jerk. So you should take your time, or I'm going to take my time, because there's a lot of people on this call which have been in business a hell of a lot longer than what I have, with their own companies and how they've grown their own companies to be a success. But for me, I will take my time. I will definitely employ in stages what I need to. I've got my backer who is coming in and investing in Keep Attacking, is an incredibly successful businessman, very low key, humble, but has created a monster with his person or his company that he runs at the moment. And it's getting people like that who have got a wealth of knowledge, who can give some clear direction, and clarity, and support me in the world that I'm in with the e-commerce, and maybe having a flirt up with retail-ish. But that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to take my time, be patient, scale up slowly, and listen to experience, listen to people who have been in my market, maybe some of the lessons learned that people are willing to share with me, and let's just see. Look, I've said before, I've got so much desire, hunger. I've got a vision for where I want to take it. And if it doesn't happen, then it won't be without trying or hard work or determination, because I'm ready to go at it. It's making waves at the moment, which I'm proud about. And let's just see what happens.
maybe in a 12 months time, you'll come back and give us an update, because it sounds like there's some momentum and some really good positive forward motion. So be interesting to hear that.
And also, sorry for me to go on, but giving back is a big part of what I do. And whether it's my former regiment into their benevolent fund, because I've managed to do 5 donations or 6 donations now to my regimental benevolent fund from my business. I do a lot of fundraising also for a few other different charities, but I'm working hard to achieve a foundation, a Keep Attacking Foundation, and we're not far away from doing so. So that's really important to give back, and you know, small change is a big difference, and we're very fortunate enough to be sat here having this conversation virtually anyway. So, you know, if there's a selfless act, then, you know, I'm gonna continue to do that. It's really important to me. I've sponsored a few things already with Keep Attacking. So if you go to Alton Football Club, you'll see a huge banner, Keep Attacking banner, on their stadium. I've sponsored their first team of their kit, and as we move forward, I'll do the children's range as well for the kids to wear their Keep Attacking stuff in Alton. So it's and collaborations I've done a lot of as well. You know, so it's good to spread the word, but obviously, you know, with me, it's, if I've got it, then I should support and give a little back, which is important to me.
I mean, it's just, sorry to interrupt, we say that at the Hub, don't we? You know, everybody that is a member of the Hub will know, we say you can't build a business alone, and we very much build a community in the Hub. And I think it along the lines of having a regiment, maybe, Brian, that you've got your people around you, and that's what we say in the Hub. You know, the people in the Hub that we meet with week after week are our group of people that we rely on, collaborate and support. So that's where the Hub is really, really important, and has really helped us through this lockdown as well. I'm sure you'll all agree.
I saw Sarah creep her hand up there. Would you like to ask a question, Sarah? Unmute yourself. The floor is yours.
Hello, Brian. It's a kind of a question, but something that seems to be shining through is that you've come to a point now where, for the sort of first time, you've really got your freedom to make the choices you want to make.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if a little bit, is that how you kind of feel? Because you deserve to enjoy everything on this journey. And you've got so many tools from your life and from your experiences so far. But I think it's a little bit emotional, actually, but I think you have the freedom to make the choices you want to make without anyone telling you what to do. So do you kind of feel that? Do you feel like you've been sort of set free now? You're on your way?
Yeah, I do, if I'm honest, I do. However, you know, the reasons for my tools, the reason that I'm trying to be the person I am today is actually stemmed from the military. They've given me so much, and it's not about my regiment letting me down. You know, I was let down by the government and the MOD to a degree, but my regiment and what the British Army has done for me has been simply incredible. I mean, my life experience would never be what it is at the moment if it wasn't from the military. My leadership ability, I would never, ever be in a place where I am now to look at things, to analyse things, and then to push forward in a, you know, a tactician's type way. But to answer your question, I'm as free as a bird, and I will spread them wings, girl. And honestly, I will go flat out, and I will try and bring as many good people with me as I can, because it's really important to employ people on the same mission as you, who get it, who understand the values. The company values is a big thing, because they're not just things which are put on paper or in a nice glossy brochure. They're meaningful words. Selfless commitment is a meaningful word. Integrity, doing something when no one's watching, is a meaningful word. It's what we should be doing. And if you align yourself, as my dad used to say, son, as long as you're true to your values, you'll get there. And it's so important. So I'm going to spread them wings. I'm going to go and I'm going to try and make this small lad from Borden a global print.
Well, you're doing it already, and I think what you say there is key. You can, if you've got the right values and you know, potential in someone, you can train them, you can help them, they can learn, you can develop people. But as you said, it's just finding those people who have something about them that shows they have that underlying in their character and their nature.
Definitely.
And
I think every business goes through that. You know, it's finding the right suit, it's finding the right person which feels that can bring something extra. And also for me, it's the next employment pieces is for me to probably bring in someone who is better than I am at certain areas within the business. You know, I shouldn't have that. I've never been a leader which is controlling. I believe in freedom. I believe in, you know, allowing people to grow and get on with and respect them in their arena. And obviously, if I'm not getting results, there's a conversation that has to happen, but you don't micromanage that. You've employed someone for a reason. They've got a talent. They're better. They're more qualified than what you are in that certain area of the business. So allow them to blossom. Don't put ridiculous amount of pressures on them so they're not going to enjoy working for you, because we're at work so many hours. You know, we want to try and enjoy it a little bit as well. We want to have fun. We want to create experiences, and that's what I'm going to try and do as I move forward. It's important.
absolutely. I think many successful business owners have pinpointed that they surrounded themselves by people who are better than they are at what you want to do, not only in your peer group, but definitely in the people that work for you. You know, you find those people and they will help you fly.
Definitely.
Absolutely, they're with you. Good luck, Brian. Thank you so much for your time.
Right.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Anybody else would like? Emma, you've been, I know you've been active in the Q&A section of this. Over to you. Don't forget. You're muted. You're muted.
I say, actually, I'm going to ask a different question to the ones that I put in the Q&A section. Brian, thank you so much for coming along and talking to us today and sharing your story. It's been inspirational. And I also wanted to thank Lisa Woolner for very kindly introducing you to us and suggesting that we bring you on here today as a speaker. So thank you, Lisa. As with your military heritage, you say that your family were military and obviously all of that military experience, I thought you must have been quite sad to see the army leave Borden in 2016. And I just wondered, has the new we're all involved in the regeneration of the new town centre, and Signal is a part of that. And we're going to be taking space in the new town centre as early as the end of next year. And I just wondered, do you feel that the new town is developing in a way that you can personally engage with? Do you feel that the new Whitehill and Borden is offering you something?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Am I sad to see the military grow? Absolutely. You know, they were great for, you know, the economic side of Borden. They supported our local businesses, from the embroidery and the printing sector to, you know, the local stores, food stores, and, you know, local agencies, and you know, the fast foods and so on, and the football clubs as well. You know, then to have them leave, and it's a lot of numbers. It wasn't just, you know, 400. Wasn't just 400 people. It was a hell of a lot of numbers. But in life, we adapt. And with the town, you know, I think it's too early to say at the moment, and I wouldn't want to be put on the spot because I'm following the growth, you know, each stage of the town and where we're at the moment, which has been good. It's been great. I mean, Borden's been overdue a makeover for you know, for years, and now we've got the real estate to really do that. I think long term it will give more opportunity. I think long term it will create a bigger community. I think when there's something that is out there, you can go and have a look at, have a coffee, and it's new. It's a kind of, it's a magnet, it's an attraction, because we've never had it before. and people want to get out their houses. People want to walk to somewhere where it's nice and where you can have lunch and where you can have a chat or pop into a business hub and spit. At the moment, you know, it's out there, but aesthetically it's not great. It's off on a limb. You know, there's nothing around it. So if I was a young mum who was looking after their baby or whatever, or someone who was looking to get into work, I would think, I'm not going to bother, because what am I going to go up there? I'm going to go up there, have a meeting, come back. Where actually people can actually make a few hours of it. They leave, they have a meeting, then a coffee, and then look around, or, you know, they do the opposite. So it's going to attract more people out of their houses, I think, to go and have a look. You'll get, I think there'll be a huge wave once it's done. There'll be a massive wave, and actually it will attract other villages. That'll be a big thing. It will really appeal to other villages, and you'll start seeing people from Liphook, Liss, Petersfield, maybe, you know, to that wide to come in and see what we've done and what we're doing. You know, we're doing that at the moment with the Hogmore. Hogmore at the weekend without the park run is chock-a-block. The car park is heaving, and that's incredible, because people are actually, instead of going Alice Holt, they come into Hogmore enclosure. And I live opposite the enclosure, so I'm qualified to tell you that the growth of people coming to walk around that enclosure is been great. And with it, hopefully with it, now the cafe's up and running, that will take in a little bit of money as well, which will be great. And then, you know, hopefully the knock-on effect from that will go into the town. But I think the communication's, you know, been good. I think you're always going to get people. You can't please everyone. People are always going to, you know, write down comments. Now, you could build Buckingham Palace, and someone would say about it, they'll be like, why haven't you thought of this? Or, you know, you can only just do so much. And like I said, seeing something getting done in Borden is a good feeling.
So do you have any plans to perhaps have some retail presence in the new town centre?
We'll see. Definitely. I mean,
Bakers Market.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the moment for because everything's getting done from in the house, and we're just outgrown it already. So I'm looking for a little bit of space at the moment just to keep our operation side of it, and then would I like a HQ with a nice little coffee shop, you know, a breakout space, and maybe even a little CrossFit area within it. That's my vision. That's my dream. So,
well, we should have a conversation.
Where are they,
At the new Block B. Yeah, we'd love that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Conscious of time. I think we can squeak one more question in. Is there anybody who feels they have a burning question? Sheila, you're on mute. Please unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted.
There we go.
I've been really inspired listening to you, Brian. I'm the daughter of an army officer, and my father's last posting was in Borden. So it's a long time ago because I'm a lot older than you. But I think it's wonderful that Borden is actually growing and merging well, because there was always the divide. You were either Borden Army or you were Whitehill and civilian, and never the twain should meet. But that's not the bit I want to dwell on. Do you by any chance follow Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K? He wrote the book, It's All About Why Leaders Eat Last. But everything you said is exactly what he talks about with leadership, that the only thing that makes you a leader is that you go first and that you lead by example, because the true act of a leader is that they will bring people who are part of and gel as a team to actually all grow together. And listening to you is like listening to Simon Sinek. It really is. And I think that's brilliant, because he's in America. Now I've got Simon called Brian or Woody in Borden.
The thing is, it's what you're taught, and it's how you kind of take them lessons on board, because leaders eat last. That's normal, because when you're in the food hall, you know, the higher up of the rank structure you go, the kind of the further down the queue you go, because it's the right thing. You know, feed your men and women first, and then if there's anything left, you'll then have your food, you know, and you go and serve your troops their Christmas dinner. You go and make a fuss on birthdays, on weddings. You know, it's all about being inclusive and investing in the people around you, because they're the ones who will get the results for you. If you are that figure, the approachable figure, which people then want to work for you, I think it's really important. And the military do it great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
Brian, I know that you've got a lot of very important and urgent phone calls and conversations to have, so we're not going to hold you back any longer, but thank you so much for dedicating this morning to the BizHub members and coming here and talking to them about your experiences, which I must say have moved me and been really impactful. So thank you very much for sharing. Lou, any final words?
Buy the book, read the book. It's really, honestly, it's a really good read. So I would highly recommend it. And thank you, Brian. It's been really good.
If anyone wants to, and look, no one needs to do anything, but if anyone wants a signed copy, then they can go on my website. It's www.keepatacking.co.uk. And if you want a personal message, there's a little box saying personal, and you just write whatever you would like me to sign on the book. It comes to me or it comes to Lucy. So Lucy would say, you've got these books to write some messages in. And actually the book is going crazy at the moment because of the films coming out, and people like to read the book before the film. So there's no pressure to do anything. Just, you know, a follow on social media is good enough. A message is good enough, you know, because, you know, people, it's their money, and I get it. So don't worry. But if you want it, then it's on the website. And that's all I'll say, really. But it's been, for me, it's been an absolute pleasure. You know, I love giving back, and especially when it's my home community. And if there's anything I can support with moving forward, or maybe some conversations about taking something in Borden and creating a really cool hub, which I've got a vision of anyway, then we should have a conversation moving forward. But, you know, we'll see. It's all good.
Excellent.
And go and buy the clothes, they're amazing.
Yes, keepattacking.co.uk.
I have lots.
Get all your Christmas gifts.
Go and keep attacking.
Yeah. Okay, if you're not a guest, you can go away and have yourself a cup of tea and a comfort break, and we will come back at 11:15 for just a quick general chat about how today's talk has affected you and what you've taken away from it. We're going to hang back, and if you're a guest, we'd love you to hang around and for us to hear about your business and what your plans are, just for the next sort of 10 minutes or so. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. It's been a truly special and inspirational BizHub. So thank you very much. And a round of applause for Brian.
Good luck with the
Thank you very much, Brian. All the best with the filming. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Good morning. Hello again.
Hello. Hello. Good morning. Lisa, thank you so much for setting that talk up. What an inspirational speaker.
Oh, I know. I couldn't believe it.
Incredible.
And I've heard him talk a couple of times before, but that was probably one of the best ones, to be honest.
So heartfelt and so honest, wasn't it? Amazing. Yeah. Really, really good.
Excuse me while I jump up and down. The old man's got out of bed, so I got to feed him.
So many speakers come and they do their talk and they're a little bit nervous, or they're just doing what they, you know, have prepared. I just felt he was so vulnerable and honest.
Even to the extent of clearly doing it on his phone with no background.
Yeah.
I know,
might have a word with him about that.
No, that's great. You know,
I know.
Obviously, there's a promotional opportunity slightly missed, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about him and connecting with him and his story, and it was just a phenomenal story. Just incredible.
I kind of preferred it without the background, to be honest, because it just made it more about him, not about he was trying to sell and pump things.
He's got a lovely house as well with those doors and that. It's just really nice.
I know. I'm looking at the roof of his hot tub as I speak.
Well, that's exciting, Lisa. Spin the cameras in the hot tub.
He's not in there.
Oh, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what a fantastic speaker. It would be interesting to find out what you took from it and how you might think about applying it to your own situation, your own business, or have you got any stories that have inspired you in your business? So, Louise, what did you take from it?
He's so incredibly humble, and the structure. As you know, I like structure myself, and I really resonated with the the 3 pillars that he talked about on the Sunday evening, that he lays it out. And I'm probably not nearly as structured as what he is, but I also, at the beginning of each week, I lay out what I need to achieve, where am I going, what am I doing. One thing I don't do is the health, which is probably the thing that's lacking in my sort of thing. I don't think about that enough, and I think often that's where we go wrong. I think because without your health, you haven't got your you haven't got anything really. So I think certainly for me, that's what I took away from it. I actually probably should carve that in a bit more. Steve Jobs, I read an article this week, and he said something about don't make medicine. Oh, I've written it on my, I've got it on my board.
And she disappeared into the building. She swallowed
went
that
in
hole.
through the window.
She's back. She's
No,
back.
I'm sorry. I have a quotation board, and we write new quotes every week. And this one is, eat your food like medicine, or medicine will be your food. Steve Jobs.
Oh.
I like that. We have a quote every week.
That means we can't have chocolate and wine and stuff.
Yes, you can. Chocolate, dark chocolate is full of.
I don't like dark
I
chocolate.
can't remember what they're called, but it's very good for your immune.
Antioxidants.
I think you're allowed everything in moderation, Lisa.
Yeah, it's the moderation bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But there you go. So yeah, I took from that the structure and thinking about what you're going to do each week, and we all get the same amount of time and all of that. And that's really very much what I took from it. What about anybody else? What did everybody else think? Anybody got anything they want to share?
The key thing for me is going back to the army, because as I say, I'm the daughter of an army officer, so I totally understand where he gets his regular routine, and that's inbred now. Because my father was the same, to the extent that when he retired, he got up at the same time every day, made his pot of tea, and none of us interrupted him because he had to have his pot of tea on his own, because that was the routine.
Yeah.
But David, you answer it. Sorry, the phone's ringing. And also this thing about leadership, because it's so key, and he's got it. He's mastered it. Leadership is not about managing people, it's about inspiring them to be with you, to be part of the team. And and again, I quote Simon Sinek because I wholeheartedly believe in him, but Brian is absolutely his double. It's the fact that the only thing that makes you a leader is you go first. You go first. That's all.
Yeah. And go last when the food's coming out.
Oh yes, well, leaders eat last, and it's like, you know that wolves, they lead a pack from the back.
Yeah.
The wolf at the back is the leader, because he's keeping the eye out. They'll have a scout at the front to make sure everything's fine. So that's going to be a good, strong, robust one. And then the wolf is looking out for the vulnerable in the middle. That's the sign of a true leader.
Wow. Yeah. Excellent pointers. Anybody else think that they took a lesson, or it chimed with something they'd been thinking?
I think it's just nice that his keep attack. I mean, you could look at the keep attacking and think, oh, keep attacking, that's a bit, bullish. But he applies it to literally every area of life, family, emotions, health, business, history, everything. Just keep attacking. And I think not to get too bogged down in business, because I know how busy it is, and I'm guilty of that sometimes. Keep attacking with your family as well. That's important.
Yeah. No, it's quite a lightning rod for a mantra, that whole keep attacking, especially as it's coming from a military man. But when he gives you the whole ethos around it, it really softens it out, and it's like, of course, turn up, be present, be there, honor yourself. Just because nobody's looking doesn't mean to say you stop trying. And I think that message has kind of been lost, in a world that's done for you. It can often feel like, well, where's the solution? Well, you're the solution. It starts with you. Years and years ago, I was having psychotherapy, and I had 10 sessions booked, and I got to the 5th one, and I had this kind of out of body experience where I suddenly started hearing myself, and I just heard this person whinging and complaining and pointed out that the world wasn't lined up to facilitate my every whim. And I just stopped halfway through it, and I said, I'm done. I know what I need to do now. And it was just take ownership of absolutely everything, radical ownership of every problem in front of me. If I am not helping solve that problem, then I am part of that problem. And if I can't solve a problem, then I have to find somebody. So my job doesn't just stop at, oh, I can't solve it. It's, okay, I can't solve it. Who can for me? And that's how I've approached everything ever since. And so to hear that from Brian, it was just like, yes, turn up, be present for yourself.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. I think
yes, that's the other thing I don't get.
I'm guilty of that. It's always been, oh, like you say, it's going to be, it's up to me. Well, there is nobody to help me, and I don't even think about asking, and yet there are people who can help.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely.
And he also,
sorry, carry on.
He also talked about accountability, which I really resonated with as well. I mean, I know we talk about it at the hub, the accountability in the mini mastermind, and as small business owners, we often don't have that accountability. You know, there's nobody making us accountable. You have to do it yourself. So yeah, it just really reinforces, I think, the importance of coming to mastermind and having that accountability. And you know what, even if you haven't done what you were supposed to have done last month, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're like, okay, I'm owning it, I haven't done it, and I'm going to try again next month. And it's just that, you know, like really just moving things on. And yeah, for me, I think that, you know, really resonated as well, the accountability.
And learning from those failures, and not think of it like as failures. That's why we say wins or learnings, because you didn't fail. What you did is you learned something, and it might have been a negative experience, but that doesn't mean to say you have to be negative about it. You know, if you've missed a deadline, or a customer didn't do what you wanted, or a prospect didn't sign up, okay, so what do I learn from that, so that the next time I'm presented with, I can't do anything with that, you know, that match is burnt and is done. But when I have that next opportunity in front of me, how do I take that experience and how do I make it a better one? So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's not working, then you're the problem, not the problem, because you're just repeating the same mistake. I just find that fascinating.
Yeah. Has anybody got anything else that they want to add? Anybody else want to share?
It was interesting. Some of his story reminded me of somebody else who's been through something, a sort of slightly similar situation with the army. A guy called Danny Nightingale, whose parents live locally. His father was in the army, and he was in the army, and it was something that was over the news, and I think it was over.
He was accused of something, but he couldn't defend himself properly because he lost his memory, and he lost his memory during a training exercise.
Okay.
But the case still sort of rumbles on in one form or another. But Danny Nightingale, I think, is still struggling. It's good to see this guy Brian seems to have be successfully overcoming his past.
He's come out the other side, hasn't he?
Yeah,
that's only fairly recently though. So yeah, it's done well.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's good to actually see someone you know, coming out like well out of a situation, because my father was during the Second World War was being trained up to go and fight in Burma, and the atomic bomb got dropped just days before he went, so he had a narrow miss in that respect. But I always, looking back on the way he behaved, felt that his army background, although it was only for a brief time, was actually a problem, because he seemed to live in a permanent state of emergency. And you know, if you only can remember, she worked with him for a while and had him as a father-in-law for quite a long time. and he was a nightmare. He, in everything about asking for help if you can't do something, he never did. You know, we had, if something mechanically failed and I said, well, I can go down trade counter and get a replacement, he'd say to me, well, you can't do that in the middle of a jungle. How are you going to fix this here now with nothing? And,
Pointing out you're not living in a jungle and you do have a lot of other option.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't, do they?
No, but it's true. You're kind of a product of your environment. Some people sometimes get stuck there. My mum was always make, do and mend. So, you know, if something broke, and luckily my dad was an engineer, that my dad would nip out to the shed and he'd rummaging through all of these tins and pots and boxes that had been saved from various Christmas biscuit tins and roses and Quality Street. And he'd come back and some kind of jury-rigged thing had been put together to fix this thing. And that's how it was. You know, we lived in this house of patched up, made up. And to a certain extent, that kind of transfers through. You know, I've got my own tins of stuff. And if something breaks, I'm like, don't throw it out. I'm going to take that apart. That'll be fixed. We have a pile of dead stuff that just ends up migrating to the bin eventually. But I'm getting better.
Oh, you need me to come and declutter, Stuart. We'll come and declutter the world, just declutter the house.
And that's what we need to.
Yeah.
I'll be round. We can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is a sort of balance between resourcefulness and knowing when to get help, and intelligently knowing which is the best route to take.
Yeah. But that's the learning experience, isn't it? That's the bit which is, okay, so that didn't work. Oh, okay. Like today, you know, I'm getting a new laptop, really excited about my new laptop. I've tried to make my current technology work with Signal's technology, and it does 99% of the time. But when it's that 1%, and it's always when there's a deadline or when there's urgent, and it's like, no, stop trying to cobble this together, go and solve the problem properly, and it's ended, and you just won't have those problems. And I think that's the learning experience in business, is stop struggling and go and ask for help. Definitely.
Yes, very true.
Can I just ask what, because we ran it slightly differently today, making everybody panelists immediately after the talk. How did everybody, just as a bit of like feedback, how that, because it's the first time we've done it like that. Again, adapting to the change, we had to rejig the schedule slightly today. So how did you feel that worked? Have any feedback?
Works better than the panel, the Q&A typing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it quite seamless when you were being checked? You just clicked onto the screen, yeah?
Well, apart from the first bit where we could still only just see Brian.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with that. I don't know.
I'll own that one. What I noticed, I was watching somebody else on another webinar, and what had happened was the other people that were in the webinar that weren't present were still on the screen. And I said to my friend, why don't you right click and put spotlight so it's just that person, and then you're not seeing the people who aren't interacting. They went, oh, can you do that? And so as a host, we can force that, we can do that. So I forced that, and then when we came back in, I forgot to unclick it.
I wondered what the spotlight thing was. I've not seen that before. Okay.
I was trying to turn it off, thinking I'd turned it on.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, I think that I think that works quite well, in that you've got and then you just all come into the room and everybody gets to be a part of it rather than things. So yeah, we are looking at some new things when we get all the surveys back. Please all send your surveys back. If you haven't got the survey, let me know, we can resend it. I think it's being resent out again, actually 2 minutes ago it was resent out again, so please return it so we can complete the schedule for next year, because we've got some guest speakers lined up, so we need to start getting some dates in. But yeah, I think that kind of works. Anybody else got any feedback on that? Or
yeah, my only comment, sorry, I was going to say my only comment would be, if you have too many people, it could end up being either very noisy, or you feel like you're in a queue and then you get forgotten. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, with 24 it's fine, but you know, I think if you had more than 24, you kind of think, oh, they've forgotten I'm waving my hand.
I think maybe we should get people to use the actual symbols in the reactions in the thing, so you can just put your hand up like that and raise your hand there.
Where's that? Oh, reactions. Oh, I never
Reactions.
never seen
Reactions.
that before.
So maybe we should move on to doing that, because sometimes it, you know, if I do this with my hair, it looks like I'm
Yeah.
zhuzhing my hair for a Friday. But yeah, you could. So maybe we should use reactions like that going forward.
It's nice for the speaker as well, if it is just a Q&A session rather than like a workbook. It's nice for them to see that there are actually people engaging and interested.
Exactly. Oh, I like your reaction, John and Fiona.
I always like that one. My favourite emoticon, that one. No, I gotta work out how to turn it off.
No, it goes away after a period of time. It just
right.
You can't.
Stays up for 5 or 10 seconds and then
and then it goes.
Yeah.
No, that would be a good way. That would be a good way if we did that.
Yeah. Okay. I've made a note of that, so maybe we'll introduce that if we do it like that again. But yeah, just trying new things, mixing it up a little bit, and just trying to be a bit more engaging. I think sometimes, as you've probably seen in these second sessions, a lot of people from the first session leave the first session and don't necessarily come to the second session. So we're looking at ways around that to see why, and understanding why people are doing that, and trying to just sort of move with that a little bit. Always on the change, aren't we, Stu?
Yeah, I've put the link to the survey in the chat box. So if you don't receive the email for whatever reason, if you dip into the chat box right now, you'll see the link, and that takes you there. And we're just asking you to rank in order of what you would like us to which topics you would like us to do most versus least, and you just rank them in order, and that's it. Should be the average time at the moment that it's taking people is 6.6 minutes 17 seconds. So there we go. It's all about the data.
How are you, Graham? You haven't spoken to me yet.
I'm just lurking here in the background.
Oh, you can never lurk
just
when I'm
checking
about.
out the survey. So no, but a very good session. No, I did appreciate you finding. So thank you, Lisa, for the suggestion. And no, I thought it was very inspiring.
Yeah, really incredible.
I've ordered the book. I did it.
Oh, very good.
Noam said she did, but she wasn't. She didn't get it signed, or she didn't do the signed bit. Where did you order it from then, Noam?
Amazon.
Ah, right. Right.
Yeah. Well, I might order a second copy for my brother-in-law for Christmas, because he's a military man, he's a captain. So yeah, that might be quite a good present for him. He's always really hard to buy for, so that might be quite a nice
Give
thing.
him the unsigned one.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I know. I've got a. Emma bought me a copy for my birthday, so I've read it, but it's obviously not signed. But I literally couldn't put it down. I just read it covered. I just couldn't put it down. So
I'm
good.
not even a reader, really. It's just got pictures. I've just not bothered. But he was so inspiring that I before he'd even finished, I bought it.
Yeah, it's amazing is that because I have earphones and a phone now, I do a lot of Audible, and this is the first hard copy book I've read in ages, because Audible, you just plug in and you listen. But you know what, I think I enjoyed it more having it as an actual book. I don't know, because I just really concentrated. Like when you're listening to Audible, I'm often doing housework or walking or driving or doing whatever. Whereas this, you have to actually sit, for like the old days, sit and read a book, and you really get absorbed into it. I literally just didn't put it down. So yeah, good book.
Cool. Excellent.
Good.
I think we're going to wrap it up there, let you get off a little bit early. But if you've got any feedback or anything you want to send us through, please do. Don't forget the survey. We'll harp on about that one more time. If you want to find out more about the Kickstarter employment scheme, it looks like we are going to be way over the 30 limit, so there's a very good chance that you could end up with a young person working for you. So if you don't have enough hours in the day, there's no excuse anymore, because it's basically a free set of extra pair of hands for your business. And yes, it might be a young person who might not necessarily have all the skills and qualifications, but you get the chance to mold them in your image. So please do send us an email on kickstart@signalborden.org, and we will do our very best to get the right information to you, get the application form into your hands, and you can see what the requirements are. And Lou, do you have any final words?
No, other than if you haven't been on Spotlight and you would like to be on Spotlight, let me know. October is obviously full next week, so we've got 3 people next week. Sheila, you're one of those. Yes. And Noam is doing November, but I need 2 more people for November. So if you haven't done it, let me know and we will get you booked.
Maybe we should have John and Fiona, and then we can have them ask Fiona one question and then ask John the same question and see if
and like test them, see if they've got the same answer. That's a good one.
If
that's
you're
like,
old enough,
we could do like, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
You're going to have paddles.
Yeah. Put one of them in a booth with their headphones
exactly, on. Headphones. We can really do that.
Absolutely.
I think that's a whole session on their own, to be fair.
That's a throwback. That is a throwback.
Yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, go.
Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and yeah, see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
All the best.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.